So this was day 2, session 1 with Candy. We finally figured out what kind of treats that she enjoys, which is alfalfa cubes, surprisingly. So for this session, I'm mainly just hanging around her, kind of like scratching on her neck, her shoulders, like on her face. Ever since yesterday, she's kind of been turning her head away from me. Because she probably is thinking, this crazy lady's putting something on my face. I don't want her near my face. So I was also trying to draw her in today and just kind of get her attention with the food. So there, she got spooked at one of the other horses, but she did take a step forward in a sense, and there you can see me smiling because she's really enjoying those alfalfa cubes that we'd got for her. And so here I took a little bit of a step back because I was trying to get her to actually step forward, not, spook forward at whatever spooked her. So you can see her stretching her neck, and then you can see her thinking about it, and then there she went. She took a step forward. So I gave her that treat, and then, of course, we get company. And then I kind of decided, well, I think I'm going to leave it there and kind of just step away for a second and then step back. So I stepped forward, grabbed the halter, and offered it to her for her to investigate. You can see that she barely reaches her nose forward, and so I took it away. And then she investigates me, and I just pet her face, telling her that, I'm not going to hurt her. And then I offer the halter out again for her to investigate on her own, which she does, so I took it away. So here I'm doing some desensitizing with the halter, rubbing it up on her neck, on her shoulder, and then the piece that goes over her ears hit her leg and made her spook. So when she kind of looked at me, which is hard to tell from this angle, I just kind of fixed it and took it away. So I got my whip out, and I'm using it as an extension of my arm and just kind of petting her and on her shoulder, on her neck, around where her saddle would go, where her girth would go. And then I pet down her leg. And then I'm going to move it up towards her chest, and her belly tightened when I did. That's what I'm pointing at. And I waited till she relaxed. So this is a few seconds later, and again, she started licking and chewing, showing me like, hey, I'm relaxed, not freaking out anymore. So I was kind of pleased with that. So I reached up, and then she stepped towards the whip, which was nice. And so I got her an alfalfa cube and gave it to her. And then, of course, company is jealous since I'm not paying any attention to them. And so I just started petting her mane on the other side. Went back to petting her shoulders where her saddle would go. I touched up on her butt a little bit. And then I touched her belly some, just like places I haven't really touched with my hand yet. And then I touched between her ears, and she kind of avoided me when I did this, so I knew that I had to kind of keep the whip on her at least, because if she knows that running away from pressure will make it stop, that's not a good thing. So I had to stay with her, and I was waiting for her to relax at all, and then here she steps down off that cliff. So I keep the stick on her butt since it is a drop off, and then I came around to her other side, and I was petting on her neck again, waiting for her to relax, and I wasn't going to take it away until she showed me any relaxation. So I was paying attention to her breathing, and I was paying attention to her facial expressions, and she surprisingly did not care when I touched her back leg, and then I'll move up and touch her front leg, and she seems to not really care. I touched her chest a little, You can see she turned her head away. And then here I just kind of touched her mane. And then she was still pretty tense. And then I got back towards her butt and she calmed down. So I went away. So this was session 2. Previously to this video, I tried scratching her face with the halter while I was desensitizing her to it. And she kept turning her head away, so I was just trying to scratch her with my hand and then scratch her with the halter to kind of swap it out. So this is still session 2. She just stepped forward, so I moved to her other side, and I know it's hard to see, but I offered her an alfalfa cube and she took it out of my hand. And by this point, I was feeling pretty confident that I'd be able to get the halter fully on her today. So I took some steps forward. I was trying to find my footing because it's so muddy in where she was standing. So you can see I'm just kind of scratching her, petting under her neck, and then I take the halter and kind of do the same thing, just pet under her face. And she started turning away, so I kind of just kept my hand there like, hey, I'm still here. And then I slid it to the other side of her neck, so I was still like touching her. And then here I step forward again, and then I start petting her face a little bit more, just kind of getting her to relax. And then I saw the opportunity, so I took it, put it over her nose, and then I was able to flip it up. And here she starts backing away, and I knew if I let go, then that would not teach her anything. So I tried my best to stay with her, and then you can see me quickly try and tie it, and then you can see me turn and say, I got it. So I was super excited and really proud of her. So here I'm trying to fix the halter because I didn't have it tight enough. So she surprisingly stood pretty well, and then there I got some company. So when I finally got it tight enough, I kind of flipped it through, and then I grabbed my lead rope and I went ahead and hooked it to her halter. So I took some steps back, and then I added some light pressure, but then all of the horses decided to leave the shelter. So I added some light pressure, and then she started backing up. And I knew if I let go of that pressure, it would not teach her anything. And then this is where it gets kind of crazy, because the horses are all out, and she hasn't given me a step forward, which is what I'm looking for. So as soon as she steps forward, that's when I'll let go of that pressure. And here she backs up and throws a fit and yanked the rope right out of my hand. So I caught up to her again, and I got the lead rope back, and I put a knot in the end so I could hold on to it longer if need be. So what I'm looking for is for her feet to stop moving and to show me some sign of relaxation, like licking and chewing, her like eye softening, her just, overall relaxing. So I'm trying to get it over her, but she did it herself for me. So again, I'm waiting for her feet to stop, and she finally did. So I also noticed she licked and chewed, which I was happy about, so I just kind of let her relax for a minute. And then I lightly asked her to step forward. So released, asked, and then I released. And then I asked again nicely. I'm not adding a lot of pressure, just enough to kind of get her to come forward maybe a step. And then I've kind of figured out by this point that she's taking that relaxation as a point to escape. So as soon as she starts throwing her head up and backing up, I'm trying to keep that pressure. And then as soon as she relaxes and kind of stops moving her feet and throwing her head and throwing a fit, I will take the pressure away, and of course she's taking advantage of that. She finally licked and chewed again. So I'm trying to do what I can because she's moving around so much. So anytime I see her feet stop, I'm trying to give the pressure. And here she kind of yanked me, and of course she spun around, so I tried to flick it over her head. And then here I kind of just let her have her slack, and she stepped forward, so I didn't have any pressure in the rope until she threw her head up and started backing up. So as soon as she stopped, I let it go. She licked and chewed again, which I was happy, so I was trying to keep no pressure in the rope whatsoever and just hold it in case she, kept doing what she was doing. So here I thought she was going to go forward, but of course she didn't. She just kept debating whether she should keep spinning around in circles. So here I asked her to step forward, and she didn't. So she backed up, and then she stopped, so I gave her the room, and then she took advantage of that and trying to stay clear of that butt. But of course, then she threw her head up and got herself in a little situation. So I actually got her to come halfway up the hill. So I got her to stop. I gave her a alfalfa cube, and then I lightly asked for some pressure, and then she kind of thought about it, and I lightly asked her, and so I tried to give her some more of the cube to kind of lure her and just tell her, hey, you're doing good. So I'm trying to, make sure she eats it all, and then I ask her to come forward, and I know you can't hear it, but I was clucking a little bit to kind of encourage that forward movement. And then she started throwing her head, and then she stopped, so I let go of the pressure. I was petting on her face. And finally, I kind of, stepped back a little, added a little more pressure. And then, of course, we got company, and it seems like every time we get company, she decides to act out and throw a bit of a fit. So here, I was just happy she was walking forward. At this point, I'm not really looking for her to stay perfectly by my side. So I was trying to kind of woo her back a little bit with the pressure of the rope, and then I kind of got that. So I managed to walk her all the way up to the gate, which was huge progress. And then here, I finally got her to settle, and I took the halter off, and that's where I ended our session for today. It was day 2 with Candy. It turned out a lot better than I expected. We had some, rough bumps, but that's to be expected. So again, I'm very proud of how far she's come within just 2 days. So don't forget to like and subscribe to this video, and don't forget to hit the bell so you can stay posted for when I do day 3. And I hope that you all enjoyed watching this progress with me.